Hello, and welcome to the Promising Scholars, grades 6 to 8, Urban Runoff Stream Camp tutorial. I am going to help you to find information about where the content is located for the urban runoff content. I'm going to help you to find the additional resources that teachers can use, and I will walk you through each of the folders and the contents therein. First, in order to find the urban runoff content, you will need to first go to resources. From resources, you will go down to the purple folder that says Rising 6 through 8 Materials and Resources. From there, you will scroll to the purple folder that says STEAM Engineering Everywhere. And within this folder, you are going to see Welcome to Stream Camp, Teacher Resource Folder, and weeks 1 through 4. Within the first page, you are going to see a wonderful welcome that says, Welcome to Stream Camp. Yay! We are glad that you're here. We're so glad you chose us. Then it will give you a quick synopsis as to what you will learn and what the students will learn during this session. Dealing with being introduced to the engineering design process, learning about stormwater, how to reduce it, then how to become innovative with dealing with an urban landscape, and how to present and communicate your data to others. The first folder that you see is the teacher resource folder. Within this teacher resource folder, you have multiple areas that are going to give you resources. The first resource that's here is your teacher guidance document. This is going to give you information at a glance. Information that's on here deals with what day, what the contents are that you will go over during that day, and what materials both you, the teacher, and the students would need in order to be successful for that day's event. The next page you have is the background of the course. This background is information that will help you as the educator have a firmer grip onto the content. So as students ask questions, you have more information that you'll be able to deliver to them. For instance, we would like the students to operate as environmental engineers. As the students inquire more about environmental engineers, you will have background knowledge, such as the information that's given here, and they may want to ask more because the title is Urban Runoff, such as what is runoff and how does it affect us? Why is this important to me? And so you'll be able to provide information to help answer such questions from here. The next tab is a map of the course. Now, this is a quick overview that tells you, such as when you see prep activities or activity 1 or 2, it tells you what the information is that we would like the students to accomplish by the end of that day or the end of that task. If you notice, there are some words that are italicized in each section. That is because that is showing you the different steps of the engineering design process that the students are going to be engaged with for each of the activities. And as we continue on, you'll begin to notice that as we go into the weeks, it is broken down in terms of what is going to go on each day of the week, which every Monday is a career connection. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are activities, whether it be the prep activities or activities 1 through 6. Thursdays are stretch and connect. And normally that's a cross curricular integration, whether it be dealing with art, social studies, or math, or ELA. It's some type of integration of another area to go along with the content that the students are going over during the week with the activities. Fridays are engaging through coding, and that is a coding activity that the students will be able to become engaged with. Each of the daily activities are set up so you will be able to see that all the students will need an engineering notebook every day. We will have the materials. You need to establish a hub, which is where the students go to get the materials for each day. What is the protocol and what are your safety guidelines for every assignment? The next page I will take you to is the summer calendar. The summer calendar is a picture and it can also be downloaded as a document that is an overview of every day of the week and informational about what's going to happen during each of those dates. The folder that you receive next or that you can click on next is materials. Now, this is a PDF of all of the materials that will be given to you both in a tote and the suggested materials that were given on the Promising Summer Scholars Supply List for schools on the hyperlink that you see here. The next folder is in the teacher resource folder is a digital copy of the engineering journal for the students. It is offered in both English and Spanish. Also, there's a resource for diverse learners folder that gives you the accessibility accommodations guidebook, EL supports, SEL documents, and ICANN statements should you need those to support your learning experience. Last but not least, we have the Defined Learning Additional Resources. Within this, the Defined Learning has a whole guide that takes you to multiple mini camps on the Defined Learning website. It is a website that is supported by the Tennessee Department of Education. On here, I have also added one of the activities that they have that would correlate as an additional resource. This is a stormwater analyst. Within this is a PPL that takes you through being a stormwater analyst and working with cities and towns that are within a watershed. And it focuses on the movement and the impact of water across an ecosystem. As I said, this is an additional or supplemental resource you can use should you decide to go this route. That is all for our teacher resource folder. And next, we will go to the contents that are within each of the 4 weeks of all of our lessons. We will now go into the content that is found in weeks 1 through 4. Now, as you notice, in weeks 1 through 4, we will normally have a career connection on Mondays. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are filled with activities. Wednesdays are extension activities or what we call stretch and connect. And Fridays are coding or a coding exercise. Every Friday is a coding exercise. Every Thursday, with the exception of the last week, is an extension activity. And for Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we have activities, and Monday is a career connection. Now, for the first week, we did change things up a bit. So, we wanted to do that because we wanted to give an opportunity for students to gain a relationship with the educator that they will have. So, as you see, it shows a weekly overview of activities. And on Monday, we have the introduction. Now, within each of the folders for every day of the week, you will see 2 folders. You'll see teacher directions and student directions. And this will be teacher facing information that you would need that maybe you need to prep for that day, or it gives you an overview or a rundown of what you would do within the class. The student directions is the information that will be delivered over to those that are in your classroom for the summer. Now, we want to remember, we want to have fun in these activities. So we're giving you a layout, but the engagement and the excitement comes definitely from you. Now, within each of these folders, you will see a content layout that consists of the pre-activity, which is the pre-launch, normally in that first step, and then we'll have an engineering live activity, and then we'll have what's next. So hopefully we'll have the students prepped for the next day's activities. Now, we wanted to make sure everything was laid out so you'll be able to have a nice pace within your coursework. So for instance, on day 1, we have teacher introductions. This is this is an interview, so you and the students will be able to get to know each other, and maybe those relationships are things you can springboard on later on in the coursework. Now, each of these has a PowerPoint included within the content. Now, it is definitely advised that when you see the PowerPoint, that you go ahead and you download it, as you see here, and then you simply upload it, so then your students will be able to engage in the activity on the PowerPoint. So, for instance, as you see here, this one is the partner introductions, and they will be able to have an engaging activity as far as the career. And that will be one of the possible springboard career connections that you can have with your students later on. We also wanted you to be able to, on day one, establish your procedure within your classroom. Now, the way that we set this up was we wanted the students to be able to identify what the engineering notebook was, what were the rules, and what was the proper protocol when it came to this summer engagement. And the reason that we wanted to make sure these things were laid out is because we want that consistency coming through the gate. Even though this is a fun summer, we want there to be certain things that are laid down, certain groundwork that is laid. And after you've talked about the protocol for entering, gathering materials, and exiting, then we wanted to start going into what is it that they know about the engineering design process. Have they ever heard of urban runoff? That's where that background knowledge is going to help you to have a conversation with the students. Last thing for Monday is very important, and this is logging into Learning Blade. So on Mondays, when we do the career connection, we will have the students do their career connection through the Learning Blade platform, which is free in MNPS. The way that you have to go into this activity, I'm saying it twice, the way that the students have to engage in this activity is they must log into Clever. First, they must log into Clever. Then click the Learning Blade icon because the Schoology links that we have for the activity are going to show up as an undeliverable location. And so next, I'm going to walk you through what that looks like from the student view. So as a teacher, I have gone through how to log my students into Learning Blade. I'm now going to go to the student folder for today's activities, which are also followed step by step. What would the students do with their introduction? What will be the career connection? And they're going to go into an activity called A Day in the Life of an Environmental Engineer. Now, at step two, they have the same information that I've given you, but it's saying log into Clever, click Learning Blade, and then go to the Schoology link for the day's activity. It says on to the fun. Now, when the students go to this page, A Day in the Life of an Environmental Engineer, if they click this picture or they click the link, they are going to see this. Remember, I said it's going to say page not found, and that is because you must log into Learning Blade first so you can actually get to the hyperlink that says a day in the life of an environmental engineer. Blech. Within this, there are 28 pages. If you notice, there are stars that the students can get to kind of show their badge for success. And they go through, and it's not something they can just easily click through. I mean, if I want to try to go through this and I want to try to click through all the pages, I'm like at page 4, I'm like, oh, I don't have to do anything. But now I have to go back and I have to find out and remember what the answer is from the previous slides. So it forces the student to have to go through the activities and learn, have an active learning process. This isn't the only page that has something here. There are also times when they have to memorize and they have to place things in order. They have to type out an answer. They have multiple choice. And so this is very engaging and it helps students become active learners. So that's for day one. Also, for let's go to day two. These are prep activities. Remember, I said Tuesdays and Wednesdays are activities that come from the urban runoff profiles. Now, day two is dealing with what is engineering. That is more hands on than day three because that is what is technology. Remember, we have steps one, which is our pre launch, and then we have steps two, which is our engaging live. Here, I know it looks small and you're like, I cannot read this. This is the educator preview as far as what do you need as far as materials, how long should this take, what 21st century skill is being engaged in here, and what is the prep activity, along with whatever pages are being done in this session. I did have these as pages and hyperlinks at the bottom. So even though it looks smaller earlier, you can click on the pictures at the bottom. So you can still see I need the engineering design process poster, which you are going to need for every activity. You're going to see that everywhere. And for the youth, every time you're going to need the engineering notebook. Now, here it's saying that it needs it for each group, but in the PowerPoint, it says that each student would need this. The reason is because we have, remember this, things have been modified because this was originally set up as a virtual platform, but it still had in-person content. So whenever you see the information that says each group of 3 to 5, we also have enough supplies where every student has this, or you would like to make sure that this is accessible. If you ever wonder where this engineering design poster is, it is in the student notebook on page 21. This is the engineering design process that the students are going to consistently engage with, and they will actively go through each of these steps during the 4 weeks they're in the summer course. Step 2 for the teachers is to follow the PowerPoint for what is engineering. And so again, I just wanted to make sure so you are able to see once you download and you go ahead and hit play and you hit edit, it shows all the steps. It has the driving question on it. It gives you step by step what you would go through for the lesson. How is it that you're identifying and investigating, and how are you imagining and planning? It even has a timer on here that would help you to go through the process. I'm always suggesting that the educator goes through all the PowerPoint slides along with the teacher support content that we will have on each page, just to make sure you have your pacing together for what you want to present to the students. Thursdays consist of your stretch and connect. That is always something that is an extension of the activities that have gone on Tuesday and Wednesday. For instance, for this Wednesday, for week one, for this Thursday, it is a connection to art. And so this is an opportunity for the students to use the engineering design process to use any multimedia platform that they're comfortable with to display the engineering design process. They could use a collage, comic strips, different illustrations of photographs. And these are a couple of the different ways that were representations of what was up top. And when we actually started looking at this, we wanted to have this opportunity because there may be another extension that the educator wants to add in or to customize the experience with the students if they've gained that relationship. If not, we already have this here, and it is something that is wonderful for the students to become engaged with. Now, for rounding out each of our weeks, we always have Fridays, which are coding. Within this are the teacher directions, just to state that the students do not need to log into code.org to complete the activity. They just go into the hyperlink and then they click play now. So every Friday, there's something that is coming from code.org. It's an hour of code, and every week is a different engaging activity. Rounding out this tutorial, we do have each week consisting of course, a different career connection, 2 more activities, 1 more stretch and connect, and coding. The last week, we have a culminating event, which is our pre-showcase and our engineering showcase. The reason that the pre-showcase was given a different day of the engineering showcase is just in case you have more students than you anticipated or more presentations that need to come about than you anticipated. So on Wednesday, for the teacher directions, we have that this would give the opportunity of the students for the students to have a chance to get the jitters out when they're trying to present their information to an audience, because we want to make sure they are able to follow through with the last step of the engineering design process, which is to communicate your findings to an audience. And within this, the students are creating a portfolio of their work from this whole summer, and they can put theirs in an online gallery. And there may be some students that have anxiety when it comes to presentations. And we don't want to penalize them for that. This is not a penalizing state. So we wanted to give them all those students an opportunity to present their findings in a different format, which is to pre-record their whole process and their whole all of their findings. This is also a chance you may find that there are more students that are more comfortable with using this mode than another. We wanted you to be able to invite the families. So on this day, after the students go through their work, you can also start hyping up everything by telling the families that your students will be presenting on the following day. That way, this is in here just so you, as the educator, have a reminder to say, all right, I need to send this out so those teachers or those other educators that would like to attend the live session would be able to. This pre-showcase also allows students an opportunity to give each other warm and cool feedback. So what this is after a student does their presentation for their peers have the ability to give warm feedback or things that they liked about the presentation. I appreciate the way that you brought out this point, or I appreciate, or I like how you showed this bit of information to the audience. They can also give cool feedback, which are suggestions on things they can modify. Instead of bringing out this part of your presentation, it would be really good if you're able to focus more on another point, if this is your focus point. And that way, the students, when they go back for their 20-minute revision, they have information based off of how they felt when they did their presentation and the feedback they received from their peers to make any revisions where necessary. All this will help for the actual Thursday engineering showcase when the students are able to present their information to an audience. It'll be filled with 45 to 60 minutes. You'd be able to tell everyone, welcome to the engineering showcase, and let them know that they are just going, each of the youth are going to go over, what they did and what they found, and they will be able to talk about their designs and things that went well and things that didn't. Um, and from there, everyone will be able to say thank you. You'll be able to say thank you to everyone that showed up. And then your students will be able to reflect on what they communicated to others. Now, this reflection will be about 10 minutes. Everyone could, get in a circle and tell each other, I'm glad you did this. This is a moment of celebration. What are you most proud of? What is something that you can modify? And then you can end that moment with why do you consider yourself an engineer? That helps to put a nice icing on the top of that cake from everything that you guys have gone through for these 4 weeks together. All right, we have made it to the end of this pre-recorded session. Today, we have gone through the materials and resources for rising grades 6 through 8, engineering everywhere. We've gone through urban runoff according to the welcome, the teacher resource folder, which has all the supplies you can use to help assist with your engaging activities. We've also gone through weeks 1 through 4, which the weeks consist of a career connection, 2 activities, a stretch and connect or an extension activity, and coding, which is every Friday. On the last week of the actual camp, we have a pre-showcase date in which students get to practice what they're going to go through before presenting it to an audience on Engineering Showcase Day on that Thursday. I hope this has been a wonderful informational session. And in order for you to wind up receiving credit for everything that you have listened to and learned from today, you would need to link onto the form that you see right here on the screen. You can either type it in or you can go to the QR code that you see at the left-hand side. This will help verify that you have gone to this session, and it'll ask you for your information, your employee ID, and which tier you belong to. If you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, you can come to the Promising Scholars STEAM Camp office hours, which are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Have an awesome rest of the day.